what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Games Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey. We're back again. If this is your first time here, please do like, subscribe, hit bells, whistles, whatever you can do to help us. I've heard it helps. I'm going to tell you about our newsletter every Friday, 9 a.m., wherever you are in the world. Please find it on Substack. Go to guysweekly.com or guysweekly.substack.com and please subscribe. We'll save you a lot of time. That being said, I will introduce my friends. The analyst, Manu Rosier.
Oh, I'm back.
Welcome back, Manu.
Holidays with a broken back, by the way, but you don't see that. Just, I don't know if it's the plane, if it's the bed. I don't know. Anyway, I will
Maybe
survive.
you're getting old.
With painkillers. Yes, I'm not used to sleep outside of my own bed. You know, and I get difficult for me to from one place to the other.
The key is a hard bed. This is like, if you're listening and you want a good back, the key is a hard bed.
Yeah.
None of this soft bullshit. That's not going to help you in the long term.
Probably.
Of course, I'll also introduce our other guests. The Terminator is back. Andre Parson.
How are you?
Welcome back, Andre. It's always good to see you.
Nice to be back.
And the beautiful Patrick Rose.
Hey, hello. Sleep on the floor. Right on the floor. That will massage your muscles and everything every night. That's the best.
There you go. Some people have experience. Gentlemen, I'm just going to jump into it immediately. Okay. Let's play a game. I need you to guess the game. I'm going to make it easier for you today because this is a very specific theme and list. So I'll try and help you out. We are going to look at launch games for Xbox. Okay? Here's the first game. Are you ready? The future of fighting games has arrived. This game delivers an in-your-face fighting experience unlike any other. The incredible tag battle feature lets up to 4 players pummel each other with exciting tag team moves until only one duo stands victorious. Drool over the lush fighting environments and multi-tiered stages as you kick, punch, and throw your opponents over balconies, through walls, and off of cliffs. This game is the most dynamic, jaw-dropping fighting game out there, and the slick control makes it easy to pick up and play.
I don't know. Yep.
Dead or Alive. I played this so much.
Which very good game.
Number 3.
It is Dead or Alive 3. And this is one of the launch titles for the original Xbox.
Wow.
I know
this was
impressed.
Prime time Dead or Alive.
Yeah, I'm impressed because it's a Japanese studio, right? And Xbox has always triggered in Japan. They did ups and downs. Okay.
This is Team
I never
Ninja,
played it.
Team Ninja was a very strong partner to Xbox back in the day with both Dead or Alive and what's the other one that Ninja Gaiden.
So we can be happy they were not bought by Microsoft.
You could say that. They're doing a lot of cool games today. So is it Neo done by Team Ninja? And they also have another one coming up as well. Another amazing game. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. I think the next one is going to be really hard. We'll see.
Yeah, it's Nayo and Wolong.
Yes, exactly. Okay, are you guys ready for the next game? Fast, furious, fun. Up to 4 players going head-to-head in continuous, heart-pounding action. In more than 45 minigames, shove your competitors aside as you maneuver through futuristic urban surroundings. Run, slide, fly, and roll through 6 dynamic environments with one goal. Beat your friends and rack up the highest score. There is something called Rink Rage, Mind the Gaps, Slip, Slide, and Collide in the battle against your opponents. There's a lot of balls.
I think, Patrick, you have it. I can try one just to see how much I know. Is it Crackdown?
It is not Crackdown.
I've never played it, but it felt like it could be Crackdown somehow.
That was also a good game.
So
was that Xbox?
I'm not sure, Patrick.
I remember Crackdown
yeah.
3 with the actor Tony.
But Crackdown was not a release title, was it?
Yeah,
Crackdown. Was Crackdown even on Xbox, or was that 360?
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know how I know this, but I think this should be Fusion Frenzy.
How the did you cheat? Like, how the hell did you know that?
I just know stuff.
Yes, Fusion Frenzy.
Never heard of it.
It's interesting.
This
is, by the way.
I never bought the first gen Xbox, so I cannot reply. I cannot answer.
Okay.
I'm excluded.
So we'll do the last one, my friends. Okay. And then there's a bonus at the end. Speed alone will not win this race. You're going to need style, skill, and willingness to gamble to earn the most kudos points and stand above the crowd. Get behind the wheel of over 25 of the hottest cars in 4 of the world's greatest cities. In your quest for glory, you'll have to push your driving skills to the edge to claim the ultimate bragging rights. Drive over 25 high-performance dream cars. More than 200 circuits in New York, London, Tokyo, and San Francisco. Rack up kudos points. Kudos! You love kudos. Get your groove on the music from top-name artists like the Chemical Brothers and LA Symphony, or rip your own tracks.
This gotta be Project Gotham Racing.
It is! Project Gotham Racing.
Yeah.
Good one, Andre.
Was that the one, or was it the next one that had a Stockholm? You could race around in Stockholm as well. Maybe that was the next one.
Wasn't this a Swedish studio behind this game?
Well, we should know.
We should know.
Yeah, it was Stockholm.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was. Yes.
There you go. Okay, how about this? So I mentioned, or you guys mentioned, 3 launch exclusives to Xbox, the first original Xbox, right? We had Dead or Alive 3, Fusion Frenzy, and Project Gotham Racing. There is one more exclusive title that launched on the 15th of November, 2001. It's the most important one.
Oh, you're asking us right now?
Yeah.
So maybe that one didn't arrive on launch. I don't actually remember if Halo did, or if it came out later. But for sure, Halo was an extremely important title for Xbox.
That is actually correct. Halo was a launch title. And, of course, a console exclusive. Those are the 4 exclusives launching day and date with the console. Amazing titles. I'm sure a lot of people had fun during that time.
Can you imagine if Microsoft hadn't bought Bungie? That game was slated to become the next big thing, and Steve Jobs was demoing that Apple is now doing games, and Halo was the big first game that was going to come out. And then it was announced that they bought the studio.
I never understood what was the Apple relationship there. Were they thinking about going into games at the time, or what was that?
Well, at that time, Apple had done a couple of experiments and failed. They even created a console that was called Pippin, that also wasn't really, made for commercial release, but they did make it. But Bungie, as a Mac developer, who of Marathon fame as well for people who are tuning in and doesn't know their history or even Destiny, but they started off with, or at least Marathon was one of the early games that Bungie released on Mac only. Halo was going to be a Mac only title as well, and it was demoed at Apple's keynote, which at the time when they were doing keynotes, they were like Microsoft or Nintendo, whatever, around E3 timing. So it was quite interesting that Steve Jobs was demoing Halo. We saw the trailer; it was going to come out, and people just lost their minds because the game looked so awesome.
Well,
And
I'm
then,
just saying. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
well, then I don't remember if it was a couple of months later or something like that, but it wasn't too much later that it was announced that Microsoft had bought the studio and that Halo was going to be released for Xbox.
There you go. I mean, we spoke not so long ago about Apple, and I was explaining that, or I was suggesting that this is probably the perfect opportunity for Apple to kind of like,
Oh yeah, they're heading back into gaming for sure. So
oh, really?
yeah. I mean, the latest Mac OS that is now currently in development beta is pushing heavily into gaming, and they've done that for quite a while. You know, even I am gaming some of the latest games using just a translation layer between PC code and Mac code, and it's brilliant. So Apple is getting really serious about gaming again, for sure.
Well, what I would say, Andre, is like, sorry, Manu. What I would say is like, hey, if your iPad can just be hooked up to the TV, and I can hook up whatever controller I want through Bluetooth, and the iPad can produce whatever the Switch or the new Steam machine or whatever modern console can do, and we have a done deal. $1,000, here you go. Thank you, Manu.
Yeah, I mean, it's good if they get the hardware and the software to support games. I think it's better than trying to make their games themselves, because that usually doesn't work. But maybe they can also buy Xbox. That
Yeah,
would
who knows?
be that would that could be a candidate.
Okay, my friends. How about we talk about the big elephant, gorilla? I don't know. We'll talk about it. Let me just do the quick intros and then I'll hand it over to you guys. March 19th, 2021. Okay? In my mind, if a studio completely needs to prove their worth by being net value over their costs, it adds a ton of pressure to release hits on a regular basis. If a game is niche, though, too bad, huh? This is not armchair quarterbacking, I swear. I'm just super worried about the moat you've built. That the winds will change and we have a bloodbath a few years down the road. Fast forward, leaked email. September 20th, 2023. My turn to say, honestly, I don't know. I don't really know what goes into closing a studio. How much funding versus personnel versus output feeds into decision. I don't think we've ever closed a studio due to the studio's P&L. It's almost always been either from leadership leaving, Lionhead as an example, or team just losing its passion. Ensemble as an example. Fast forward, July 6th, 2026. After careful consideration, I made the difficult decision to reduce our team by approximately 3,200 throughout fiscal year 27. This will include approximately 1,600 role eliminations today. And in addition, 4 studios will leave Xbox to new management. I recognize that a year-long restructuring creates additional challenges. Unfortunately, it is not possible to make all the necessary changes in a single day, and I wanted to be direct about the scale. So, to give you more context, my friends, the first email you heard me about the armchairing and the worrying. This was 2021. This is John Emile Elien. I think it was one of the chief architects for third-party games at Xbox. And then the response: I don't think we've ever closed a studio due to a studio's P&L. That is, of course, no other than Phil Spencer. And then fast forward. The last quote I read to you is Asha Sharma, the new head of Xbox. Take it away, my friends.
Yeah, I mean, there have been rumors for many weeks, like, when there are rumors, there are extrapolation, and now finally we have the detailed information about some studios not really shut down, but kind of moved away from their portfolio. What else can I say? Even at ZeniMax, there are layoffs. At ID Software, it's 60-70% of the people over there seems to be also laid off. And the studio for the RPG game So they are focusing on the big IPs basically. So they're focusing on Fallout and on things like that. They are doing the Activision move, I would say. They are doing the EA move, the Ubisoft move, where at some point they're like, okay, let's pick up 5 to 10 big IPs and let's remove all the noise. So that's fine for the other publisher, but what about Game Pass then? Because you need these small titles to keep the flow of new content coming into a subscription service. And there are also rumors, but there are really rumors that they are stopping the funding of third-party games. I don't know if it's true, that one, because there have been some noise. But where does the Game Pass value land if you reduce the number of games you are publishing and if you have less games in your...
Guys, it's an open...
Yeah, I think it's been it's been complicated with Microsoft's history of purchasing studios and making sure they, are profitable. I tend to link their strategy to a lot of other companies who have done the same, purchasing and consolidating, and then it just doesn't feel like they have that big mega strategy that happens. And I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if it is an issue on making sure that the studios then align into that strategy, or if it is simply that they just wanted to make sure that certain titles show up on their own platform. But it is very clear that obviously that strategy for many years haven't worked. So it's, I mean, this is just taking care of business, so to say. Even if it sounds very cruel and cruel and dark, but the point is that you have to make sure you're profitable in the end, and these strategies have been going on for a very long time, and so I understand why it's needed, but it is important to factor in all the years prior to these things going down at the moment.
If I may add here, I'm a bit confused about that, Andre, because it says here in the summary when margins are 3 to 10 times lower than comparable platform publishing businesses. This is under Microsoft. So I'm confused. Is Xbox making money? Is it breaking even? Or is it? I don't know. Let me know.
It's not making the margin others make, and I think it worked as long as Xbox activity was a rounding number in the Microsoft business, but that stopped with the acquisition of Activision Blizzard, and that's where they started to ask for actual results. The other thing is the Game Pass number seems to be very bad, so they never had the growth they expected. They thought that COVID lockdown impact would be forever, and it would be like forever increase. That did not happen. Yeah, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know where they go from there. And the biggest question mark is the Game Pass content at this moment. Value of the...
Yeah, and then of course when you zoom in, you can also look at the quality of the games being released, and not meeting expectations from players as well. There have been many expensive games released during as a follow-up to acquisition this or whatever that, and they haven't performed as expected. So there is a combination of things, and of course with that margin, it is simply too low. You cannot have good business with that kind of margin. So again, it's very unfortunate, but at the same time, it is important to prepare. I mean, at one point there were even discussions about what's the survival of Xbox, and they had to go out and like, no, we're still doing Xbox, and it's important for us as a big company this brand is important for us at Microsoft, etc. So it's been in discussion for quite a while on what is going on and the future of it, etc. I'm sure, like Epic, it's been hard to get a good revenue going with supporting games on Game Pass, etc. I'm sure there are great stories on that, but there's probably a lot of bad stories as well, just like with Epic Game Store and how they have been supporting titles. So it's different kinds of business strategies that haven't worked out, and now you need to pivot to the next place to get things in check again.
So, Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, is this now an Xbox problem, or is this an industry problem? Is this just like the same thing that is happening to all the other AAA studios right now, or is Xbox different somehow? What do you guys think?
No, I think, to be honest, our hobby has been funded by some money coming from somewhere, but the reality is that it should be, and it's getting more expensive just to play video games, right? Like no price increase for so many years. We're still, even if some people are screaming about the increased price of video games, still there has been no inflation, barely any inflation in recent years. And, so we've been funded by external parties. Our hobby has been funded by external parties, and we saw that people pouring money left and right. So
I also wouldn't agree. I also would not agree. If we are really honest with ourselves, video games did not become more expensive. The range of pricing has changed. We can pay $100 for a game, or we play for many hours entirely for free. So, and this didn't exist in the past. In the past, there was like maybe $30, $40 or so, or probably even higher than that, $50, Super Nintendo, PlayStation 1 and such. And either you buy that or you just can't play. And now it's just like the range is going into all directions. This is how I'm seeing it. So I don't even think necessarily that playing games is more expensive these days, but the business models have changed a lot. And I believe like one of the biggest issues, which also cause all these layoffs these days, is that these companies laying off did not understand the latest business models. And why do I think so? It's because it's not true actually that the entire games industry is not doing well and everyone is laying off. That's not true, because there is whole parts of the games industry that are hiring. And that is especially free-to-play companies, that is Roblox teams. These kind of teams, their business models apparently seem to work. And Xbox, just like many other of these AAA studios there or publishers there, they have never changed their business model truly for the past 20 years, 30 years almost. And I believe this is a problem. They are trying to becoming more service-ish games, for example. They add more multiplayer parts to their premium games. They try to create these services like the Xbox Pass and such. But this is not truly understanding these new business models yet, and they never got there. And I believe the only way for them to get back into the game is understanding these business models and maybe create something that works for them. Bringing the quality we are used to know from Xbox games, but framing them in a new way that also aligns with the modern business models. That's my very humble opinion on this.
Well, what does that mean?
We have this Western world bias, where we are in a saturated player base. Console is basically not growing anymore in Western world. The players are growing only by so much, basically the population grow rate, which is slow anyway. And the market is doing well. It's just that players are somewhere else. They are playing on other platforms, on other business models. But we were stuck with our vision that 15 to 35-year-old Western male playing on console. Well, that one is saturated, more than saturated. So there is too much on the market. And the other thing is, I think the CEO of Xbox also said that she wants like 1 billion players on Xbox, in the Xbox ecosystem. There are 3.6 billion players in the world. 600,000 on 600 million on console, almost 1 billion on PC. You cannot achieve that with an Xbox, right? You achieve that if you have a strong mobile business, but not just with a Xbox and PC.
I'm a bit frustrated and angry, by the way, because not at you guys, more at like the situation itself. And here's like I wanted to bring this up at the very end. You guys remember the Suicide Squad, where you had Rocksteady, one of the most prestigious studios of all time, making back to back to back 3 of the best superhero games of all time. Even maybe to this day, there are no other superhero games that are better. Even Spider-Man. I mean, even Wolverine. But you take that gem of a studio that is so specialized in doing what they're doing, and now you're chasing something else, leading to something like, these developers, basically they go from being creative people who are producing amazing content to people who are checkmarking spreadsheet items just to kind of like, hit the quota on how to make back the money they're invested in this project. And I feel like this also goes back to a bit of this with PlayStation, former PlayStation boss Sean Layden, when he was describing the cost of making these games being $1 million on PS1. And then, of course, fast forward 20, 30 years later, you're investing $100+ million into an experience that is comparable in some regards. But this is frustrating for me. I mean, to hear, because I feel like it's all self-inflicted. All this could be avoided.
Well, I mean, the only company that seemed to have understood protecting its investment is Neo Geo, from back in the day when they were really expensive. But all joking aside, point is that games have not become more expensive. It's quite the opposite, really, in many ways. Now we're starting to see games creeping up to $100, €100. We should probably have a separate discussion on this. On for example, GTA will surely generate 50 to 100 hours of playtime minimum, and you'll be paying $100, and then you have games that will generate 5 hours, and you pay $60. So it's really interesting on revenue side of what you can actually get from investing so much money. But the other point is also understanding what people want. And I think Suicide Squad is a game that I love that developer, but I was not interested in that game at all. And I think partly that was because of fatigue of live service and that kind of business setup. But also, like so many other games out there, you have to have a very, very strong audience that really wants your game to be released. And I think that with many of these older developers, there are assumptions being made in various rooms that these games will have an audience, these games will be super popular, and the setup will be awesome, etc. And I think you need to read the market and then read the focus room, and then I do agree that spreadsheets have been a priority for a long time, but the core loop also needs to be a super priority.
Look at this, Andre. Look at this. This is the type of stuff that annoys me. Now I know they just announced that Obsidian might be doing another one. But so you have Fallout, okay, and I think people are freaking craving for more Fallout games.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Fallout 4, when was that? 2015. Are you crazy? Are you crazy? Like, you haven't done anything with Fallout. Obviously, they have Fallout 76. That is an ongoing title. But 10 years, more than 10 years, and there's no mainline Fallout game? What the hell are you guys doing?
No, but that's the point.
They-
76
they-
was going to be the forever game, right?
They can't do a remake because it's still a crappy engine. You know, they still have the same engine. They've not even moved to any other engine. They've just done Starfield instead. You know, and Starfield didn't succeed.
But we were happy. Were we not happy with? I mean, we don't care. Yeah, everybody knows a Fallout game is littered with bugs, right? But we were happy. You know what I mean? Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Andre.
No, but I I don't think that should stop them. Where having old technology or whatever. It's again, that's not the real point. I mean, it's when I talk with Rebellion recently, they were using their own old engine that they customized to make sure they could do Atomfall, which in some ways is similar to Fallout, and yet it's not. And they were able to do their own type of game and be successful enough with it to make it work. So again, it's about what people want and reading market and reading their community as well. So I think we probably have lots of examples from the studios that have been bought by Xbox where those games just didn't align with expectations from players or surely from business as well.
So you're saying reading the market is really important. What is the best way to read a market, in your opinion? Just one thing, one tool. What is the best thing? What do you need for reading a market?
Well, one is of course that you need to constantly do research throughout the development of the game. And one point that I tend to see with studios, even AAA studios, is that they do that exercise once, and then they have 4 more years to make the game.
Yeah.
And during those 4 years, everything can change. What people want and what people need, etc. And I think some of those ways is to look at numbers from one standpoint, look at trends, look at what types of games are happening in social media, what people are talking about, what people are sharing, and then you have to do a little bit of crystal balling to understand where will I be in 4 years with my type of game.
So my favorite approach, and I try to get there with every client I'm talking to, no matter if it's a free-to-play studio or AAA studio, I want to read the market as often, as direct as possible, meaning not just trends, not just crystal balling and everything, but actually giving them my stuff to play. And then not just ask them, hey, what do you think about it? But actually reading data with as many people as possible. Because this is, to me, this is the most honest thing. This will tell you, do people play this game? What do people do in my game? Where do they go in my game? And will they come back tomorrow? And that will tell me a lot about if they are also willing to pay for the game eventually. And the biggest discrepancy we are having with AAA studios and this kind of approach is that their products are just too big, too expensive to make. Even the smallest possible version of that is already so many millions. And I think this is where we have to rethink business models and understand how can we test our AAA projects much earlier on the market and continuously test them properly with enough people to have representative data without alienating the quality or the hype of the brand and everything. That is a challenge, but we never think that way. And I think there is good ways to overcome this challenge if we just started thinking that way.
Yeah, I think another tell is also that when the studio stops doing weekly playtests, or when everybody's in playtesting, that you already have a problem at that point, because people are not finding it fun anymore. Yes, people can be, oh, we're so busy and we have a tight schedule. But again, that's one of the best ways to develop a game, and that is to constantly test it, as you say as well, even internally. And if people are not engaged and excited about that, how do you expect people on the other side of your studio walls to be?
Yeah. And what I'm doing these days, I actually challenge my AAA clients, especially in workshops, to look at, to have a hyper casual approach with their game. What would a hyper casual approach look like if they applied it to their AAA game project? And how could they test it as often as possible with an MVP, minimum viable product, very early on, and try to understand if they're going the right direction or not? And could they just kill it? When would be the earliest point in time to kill it without wasting, while wasting as little money as possible and such? And we're absolutely not there yet. And I'm not saying you can just take the hyper casual approach and apply to AAA projects, but thinking that way enables you to think in entirely new ways and maybe also safer bets, for example. And this is where I'm trying to get my clients, at least right now. I don't know if you like that idea or not, but maybe you have an opinion on that. But I believe that is the direction we have to go to understand the other business models out there and to deal with the current market situation.
I want to challenge that a bit, Patrick, because I do agree with you that these things are really important. And you need to be on top of your game with relationship to if it's testing, if it's market research, if it's like, challenging how you're communicating with your players, how you're selling your product. But I think for me, the root cause just goes back to this ballooning cost of making such a product at a level where people don't necessarily have those requirements anymore. Like going back 10, 20, not 10, maybe more than 10 actually. Going back more than 10, 15 years ago, yes, we had a desire to have higher fidelity games that look better. But now that doesn't matter anymore. Like how a game looks does not matter as much as it used to matter, right? That's one aspect of it. But the other aspect is all these things that you mentioned in an organization like EA or Xbox or PlayStation. you had these you have these you had the studio maybe of the size of, let's say, 400 people, and then you have a supportive function across the organization that are going to invoice you internally. That is maybe 1,000 people who are not really contributing directly to making the game itself, which is a huge issue. I'll give you an example of a place that I worked at, where internally, if I wanted to like record a voiceover, it would cost like 20 times more than handing that over myself to a studio that I could get in touch with. So these are examples of things that are like, ballooning these costs. Now, I will add one more thing, if it's okay by you guys. I want to kind of like, I had some more comments here. I just want to summarize some of the things that are happening with the Xbox thing, which is, so Compulsion Games and Double Fine Productions become independent. Ninja Theory and Undead Labs move to new ownership. Arcane is starting in France, starting like a work council consultation thing. Additional reductions across Activision, Bethesda, Blizzard, King, Mojang, and Xbox Game Studios. No first-party publicly announced games are being canceled. Mojang and King will now report directly to Asha. Management layers cut to max of 5. Here's a good example. That's a good example of like, okay, management layers cut to max of 5. Even 5 is just crazy. That's just crazy. The target is 3, by the way. New structure built around makers, player coaches, and direct responsible individuals. Vendor spend cut by 50%. Can somebody explain what that means? Vendor spend? You guys know
Like the contractor and stuff like that?
But it could be.
Yeah, probably.
Outsourcing, maybe. A new chief operating officer created with end-to-end P&L across content, hardware, platform, services. So that now there is one person with a P&L across all of these things to have a look at. And it seems like, okay, maybe there is some fat to cut here. Of course, not talking about people's jobs across studios, but if you could cut fat across, layers where it's not contributing to the end product in a direct way, that could potentially help a lot.
I mean, they've absorbed so many studios and structures in the past few years that it keeps removing the redundant position, mostly the overhead positions.
Yeah, and by the way, Manu, here's what's the funny part of all of this is when Phil Spencer took over, and we saw this revolution, maybe or evolution of Xbox. You don't buy a studio like Double Fine to become rich. That's not what you don't do that. You buy Double Fine to get closer to the gamer audience, the core gamer audience. Those are the people you're getting closer to, and you're building that relationship. But if you're just gonna be another Activision, that's not a long-term relationship you're building. At least that's how I see it.
So, in opposition to all that structure you have just been mentioning, let's have a look at Roblox Studios. Do you know how Roblox Studios operate? Like the most typical case is just some guy starts making Roblox games. Okay, that works, but now I want to scale up. I need a little bit of a team, so I hire some devs. How do I hire them? Often it's just some kids. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but that's the reality at the moment. How do I hire them? How do I get them on board and pay them? I just put them into my system, into my dashboard and everything, and they receive like 25% or 50% or whatever from that particular feature they are working on automatically through Roblox. That is a hiring process. I don't have any person in between. I don't need that stuff. It happens automatically. They get paid for only the things they are actually making. And if I don't want them anymore, I tell them, okay, that has been nice, but now you're out. And then fluidly they move over to other projects, or they have different projects at the same time and such. So it's so much leaner, and you only pay for what you actually get in Roblox teams. That's the exact opposite of this so many hierarchies stuff. And everyone is responsible for the things they are actually making. And depending on that, they are also getting paid. So, and that is the new generation. I believe they learn a lot. They will learn a lot by just growing up in these kind of systems. And therefore, our company structures might also change quite a lot.
By the way, that's a really good segue, Patrick, into Minecraft, which is another like lost opportunity that they never capitalized on. They never opened it up for anybody to come in, similar to what you're describing with Roblox, and allow them to just release things. And now, of course, we're seeing that they are almost doubling down on Minecraft to try and see how they can bring it up to Roblox numbers, maybe. Any other things that we might have missed, my friends, with Xbox and all the things that are happening on that side?
Well, the other point which we have discussed a couple of times before is, of course, related to this as well, and that is purchase and player behavior. Having trained people to not invest and not buy things for so many years is obviously a problem, even for a giant like Microsoft and the Xbox division, because of course everything has changed on business strategies, and even look at what Valve is doing right now with their system that they are trying to get people to buy for the living room. Selling at a loss, expecting revenue to come in through good titles being released. Of course, that is a different story of how to make it work. But again, if you're not prepared to read the market and understand how to make money on that market, especially when people are trained not to not to buy a lot, then you have to be very focused on what you're offering and why people should be getting that stuff. So, for example, why should people buy that hardware? What stands out from doing that? That's one thing, and then bank on that. So for Xbox, this has been something for quite some time where the value has been the Game Pass, and that's more or less it. There hasn't been anything else that stands out. Like, you have graphical, something is stronger, better, faster, harder, like the old days. And then that combined with people just not caring about buying anything, obviously it becomes something that you need to solve. So there's a combination of everything, of course. But in the end, that want and that need should be a high priority for these types of companies to figure out in this day and age of why people, GTA is a want and need. Is that a system seller? Absolutely. Could somebody have afforded to do that an exclusive title? Probably not. But what if they would have been able to? That would have moved units. And we would have seen something that is similar to how we used to have it. So yeah, a lot of things have changed. But in the end, it's also understanding value and the want and need, the FOMO, and all that stuff.
Do you feel like Game Pass had too much content? I feel like that was a thing for me, at least when I used to have an Xbox, which is I was just downloading stuff and never played stuff. Maybe I'm just old, but I just felt there was too much things there.
Again, and I'm sure Patrick can chime in on some of this stuff, and Manu, you probably have seen this in your figures as well, that too much choice it destroys it destroys it. It dilutes and destroys it. The want and need.
And as a developer, if you want your game to be actually played, you have to make sure it's compelling from the first second, because otherwise people, they just zap and then try the next game, because there is a queue of games you can try. I don't know. When I look at the whole picture, we had one after the other. Xbox doing Xbox things, PlayStation doing PlayStation things, and now it's like almost Nintendo is looking like the good guys, like the consumer first people. I mean, it means that the console business is a problem if Nintendo is being seen as the consumer first hardware seller. At this point, it's just it has always been the one. They do whatever they want, and they set the price, and they have their exclusive, and they don't care about the rest of the market. They are on their island. But now, it's difficult to be a console fan in 2026.
By the way, you did include this article in the newsletter today. Nintendo is the good guy now. What is this all about? Because you know what happened for me? When I was reading a bit further down, I was noting a thing about, so this is Nintendo is more interested in making money, and keeping it for a rainy day. And I love it. I'm not sure if this is a Japanese thing. I mean, you guys have to educate me on this. It currently has $14 billion in the bank. And then I clicked on one of these links, and now I'm looking at a lot of Japanese stocks. And you can see how much cash on hand there is that these companies are having. But I would love to hear, what is this article about? What are we trying to say here? And how, and the culture of saving money for a rainy day, is that just exclusively Japanese?
They learned the hard way.
PlayStation is supposed to be a Japanese company too, so I don't think we can say there's cultural. I mean, I know there is, because PlayStation is becoming more and more a US company. I think one thing, I guess it's mentioned in the article, is the way Nintendo has been adjusting the pricing based on the content, based on the game itself. It's not like one price fits all. They really acknowledge when it's a remake, when it's a remaster. And I think it's probably helping, seeing the goodwill.
Yeah, and at one point they were not doing that well, and they released hardware that people didn't like, and there was a genuine concern for how Nintendo is going to be continuing operations. There were even discussions about Nintendo being purchased and acquired and stuff like this, and. So I think they learned the hard way how to create this want and need, and protect their investment. So, for example, in terms of Nintendo games today, I would consider them, cheaply priced. If you compare to that, these prices were the same 20, 30 years ago, or even more, 40 years ago. Nintendo games could be this expensive, which is quite crazy. But one thing, they'd always try to protect their value. They almost never have any sales on their own titles. If they do, it's a very small amount in terms of discount. Another point is that people genuinely love most of their games so much that they sell systems to play those games. And then they've tried to make sure that Switch has a indie open market of getting more and more titles on the platform, because in between every Nintendo title, as is usually common with Nintendo products, there isn't much happening. So third party has to fill that void, or the console will die. And with the Switch and Switch 2, it seems that they have succeeded with that strategy. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are or have been the bad guys. It's just that they've tried to be smart with their business, and always make sure that playing a Nintendo product, it's special. It used to be that way with Microsoft. It used to be that way with Sony as well, that you're playing a PlayStation title. PlayStation title. But the dilution, and especially the two platforms in between being so similar. Again, yes, great for developers to not need to push a lot of money into optimizing and all that stuff. But at the same time, if we would have a blind test today in the living room, and we would have both machines with the same titles, we wouldn't know which machine is which, except for the controller. And I think that's also a problem with the players as well. That is gaming anywhere, anytime more important, or is it a system seller that is more important, or is there a combination? I think they've tried to solve that for quite some time with cloud gaming, all this kind of different offerings, and then everything needs to be cheap, it needs to be free. So yeah, there is a lot of work that needs to be done, and I think on Nintendo's side, they've tried to solve that with keep our products close to you wherever you are. Play them in the living room if you want. I think that they've done quite well in trying to go through all these problematic areas that we are discussing.
Gentlemen, this has been a very fun discussion today. So I unfortunately have to cut it short. If there aren't any last minute things you'd like to add, but thank you so much for joining us. Patrick, do you want to add anything there?
Just only, I don't think there's good or bad in companies. They are all just following that one ruler, which is capitalism, and they do their best to serve that ruler. That's all I want to say.
You are absolutely on point.
Yeah, the end game is capitalism, right?
It makes no sense, though.
Huh?
It makes no sense. There is no such thing as infinite on this planet, at least.
Yeah. That's for another episode, right?
Yeah, but that is a rule that our industry needs to learn, and have needed to learn the hard way now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Forever games it can't exist.
I think looking at, by the way, just as a final note here, looking at some of the successful indies who are riding into the sunset, what the fuck are you guys doing? Sorry for swearing there, but you made your monies, you're happy, you're continuing to invest in your thing, and that thing is going well. Be happy. Is there something wrong with being happy? Or maybe the word is content. The word is content. Okay, gentlemen, thank you so much again for joining us. Andre, Patrick, we always love to have you on board. It's really appreciated. Manu, next week, our 100th episode.
Yay.
100. Over 100 hours recorded. Over 100 guests joined. No, that's not true. We have our reoccurring guests, Andre and Patrick. Guys, if you want to join us next week, you are also welcome to do so. Same time, same place. I haven't figured out what we're going to talk about next week. We'll see how we can celebrate and find some good topics. Okay, gentlemen. That being said, thank you so much, and I will see you soon again.
Thank you very much.